Hi everybody, it's Chris Harris again with Harris Arms. Told you on the last video, I think it was the last video, right? Maybe. Anyway, I told you that we would, or I would, we're not doing it, right? I'm doing it. Anyway, I would do a video of a suppressor video of a SureFire suppressor that I have, and that's what we're going to do today. So let me, I am here. I'll get out and get things set up, and then we'll get going on it. All right, so as promised, here we are. Said we were going to talk about a suppressor that I have a little bit today, and I guess we could talk just a little bit about, like, why would you need a suppressor? I know a lot of people bring this up, and this is a topic that I'm not going to get real in depth with right now because it has to do with the NFA, or the National Firearms Act. So why would you need a suppressor? Well, there are a number of reasons why you need a suppressor, or why a suppressor would be helpful or useful. The first and the biggest reason, right, is to protect your ears. If you don't have protection for your ears, then you could have long-term hearing damage, which is not good at all. So there's a massive, I'll say massive, it is a massive health reason for having a suppressor. So suppressors are nice. Now, the bad thing is, and because of this National Firearm Act of the 1930s, right, suppressors are not cheap. And they're not cheap because of the restrictions companies have to go through in order to make them, the restrictions and the licensing you have to have in order to sell them, and then also the government is going to charge you $200 for a tax stamp in order for you as a citizen to own one. So they're not cheap to come by. But I would still recommend that if you're able to, and you do like to shoot, then get one. They're nice to have. They really are. Now, I'm not going to tell you which suppressor you should buy, because there are a ton of them out there, and they're all good. You have Silencer Co., you have SureFire, you even have some suppressors, some companies today making kits to where you can build your own, and you can do it. Again, I won't get into big time detail here on something called a Form 1, rather than a Form 4, the way that I purchased my suppressor, but a Form 1 allows an individual to make their own suppressor and do it legally. And I will give you a little bit of advice on that. That is probably the quickest way to go about legally having a suppressor. And don't even think about having one illegal, right? That's dumb. A lot of people might say, well, if the government doesn't know, well, yeah, you're not going to get that advice from me. Do it legally, and then if you don't like the laws, which I don't, then do what you can to have that changed. Some people have been working on that lately, but anyway, so a Form 1 is a quick way to get it. You can apply for a Form 1, and you can get the stuff in you need to make the suppressor, and then once your Form 1 is approved, then you put it together, drill it out, and you have a suppressor. Quick way to go. They're not crazy expensive, so the pricing there is okay. So I think that's a good way to go. A friend of mine did that not long ago, and it worked out great for him. He had his suppressor approved in, what did it take him? A couple of months, maybe. Whereas mine, going through a Form 4, where I went and had a gun trust, and I went to a suppressor shop, because actually at the end of this month I will be able to sell suppressors, but I didn't have this at that time. But I went to a shop that sold suppressors and went through the paperwork, and it took me almost a year to get my suppressor approved. So it was right along 10.5 to 11 months. It was a pretty long process. So Form 4s can take a while. Form 1 is a lot quicker. So we're going to talk just a little bit about suppressors today. Now, the one that I have here, the suppressor that I purchased, and we'll see, should focus in on that. This is a SureFire Socom RC2. Now, I went with the 30 caliber. This is a 7.62 caliber suppressor, because I run a 300 blackout a good bit, and not only a 300 blackout, but I also shoot some high-powered rifles that as long as I'm 30 caliber or below, this suppressor could be put on it. So the 6.5 Creedmoor, 6.5 PRC rather, that you all will go along with me on in the journey to shoot at a mile, you'll see this same suppressor on the end of it when I make those shots. Now, the suppressor just has a series of baffles inside of it that that as the bullets and gases pass through, that spreads them out so that it suppresses down the noise. Not only the noise, but also the flash that comes out of the end of the barrel. You don't get that as much. Now, the downside to a suppressor is that because they suppress the gases, a lot of those gases get forced back into the system if you're running, especially a system like an AR, where the action is driven by the gas that comes back through. So I would suggest that if you are going to buy a suppressor for an AR platform, to make sure you get the proper buffer and buffer spring, but not only that, the proper charging handle as well. I like Radian charging handles. Radian Raptors are really nice. They're pricey, but I do run a Radian Raptor that is drilled out specifically to allow for the dissipation of some of the gas that blows back into your face, because you will get some gas to come back in your face when you shoot suppressed. That's just the name of the game. So I put a little heavier buffer tube in my platform in order for it to take that extra gas coming back. I did not. You can put an adjustable gas block on your AR if you're running a gas system, right? And you can tune the gas, tune it down to where it's not as bad. I didn't do that. I think my gun may be a little bit overgassed, and I say that because it really ejects hard, and there is like, it's really quiet with the suppressor on with the ammunition that I run, but the buffer spring and tube is pretty loud in the bolt. So suppressors are very good. They're needed for your health, your ears, and they're also nice for other reasons. So hunting. Right? I think, and a lot of people disagree, I think a 300 blackout with subsonic ammunition, with the proper ammunition in it, and we'll talk about that in another video. But I think a setup like that with the proper ammunition and the proper bullet designed to be shot subsonic and perform subsonic, I think it could be a very, very good platform for a young person hunting out of a stand. And with a suppressor on it and subsonic ammunition, you don't have to worry about their ears. And at least where I live in Mississippi in the Delta, most of our shots on animals around here are going to be within 100 yards. And the 300 blackout with the proper ammunition at subsonic with the suppressor will be very, very, very effective from 100 yards and in. So I think it's a good. That's another good use for a suppressor as well. One other reason, another big reason that I purchased the suppressor is for home defense. Now, a lot of people will argue against that. I've seen videos of guys that say that you shouldn't run a suppressor on your home defense weapon because in the event of someone breaks into your house, you not only want to intimidate them when you come out, but if you have to pull the trigger, you want that to be just very loud, right? To be very aggressive, to put some fear into the heart of whoever's in your house, right? Because you're coming out with this fire-breathing dragon basically on them, because you're not going to suppress. You got to think, most people use, if they have an AR, it's a shorter barreled AR. With today's pistols, people run shorter barrels. And a short barrel AR, whether it's 5.56 or 300 blackout, is going to have a massive just muzzle flash when it goes off if doesn't have some kind of flash hider, if it's just a standard little bird cage or something like that. So when you come out at night and you're in your living room and you have to let it go, it's just going to be like a dragon coming at them. I understand that, right? Okay, I understand that. You want not only the person who is there to be scared out of their mind, but you also want all of your neighbors to know that something's going on at your house to alert people. I understand that thought process, but for me, I just find that it's better. Well, I can't say that I find it's better. I've never been put in the situation. I think that it would be better that if I had to let's say, shoot someone in my living room because they broke in and my kids are asleep in the bedrooms. I think it would be better not to wake them up and to bring them into that trauma. And with the suppressor and the proper ammunition, you will not only be quiet enough to where the children probably won't even wake up, they'll never know what happened, but with the proper ammunition, you also won't have to worry about blow through past your target. So as long as you acquire your targets and make sure that you make good clean shots, the bullet will not over penetrate and go through walls into the next room. But again, that takes having the proper ammunition. But I do think it's better to have the suppressor in a home defense situation. Again, people's opinions vary. It's just what I think. Now, so how well does the suppressor actually work? Now, before we get into that, I do want to say one more thing about the SureFire, right? The SureFire line of suppressors, I think they're wonderful. So why did I buy a SureFire in specific? I didn't buy the SureFire because it's the quietest suppressor out there, because it's not. I didn't buy the SureFire because it's the best at flash suppression, because it's not. Right? It's not just an absolute standout in any category that you have for suppressors, except for one that's important to me almost everything, right? And that is that this suppressor is a tank. It will run and run and run and run and run. So I don't know what could kill it, but if it does get killed, then in some way that's according to a manufacturer's defect anyway, then there is a lifetime warranty on it as well. There's some drawbacks to it. You can't take it apart. You can't replace the baffles. Possibly you would have to send it back, and even if it was warranty worked, you would have to go through the process of having a wait again to get one. That I'm not sure about. I haven't done it, but it's a tank. It's an absolute tank. So it's not the quietest. It's not the best at suppressing flash stuff, but it does all of those. It does all those things great. It is quiet, right? And it does do a good job of suppressing flash. But it is just an absolute tank, right? Sometimes suppressors, because of the way that they lock onto the barrel here, they will get carbon locked on there. So if you shoot a lot through their suppressor, then you'll go to take it off, you'll hit the little quick attach and do that, and it's not coming off. So these were actually designed that if that happens, that you got this locked here, you would unlock it, and then you would fire around through it. And when you fire around through it, then it's going to shoot this suppressor downrange. And you run out there, or you walk out there. You wouldn't run. Why would you run out there? Walk where you can walk, right? But you walk out there to where it was, pick it up, and you can stick it right back on the gun and go again. That's what it's designed for. So that's the reason I bought it. It's an absolute tank, and also because Socom uses them. They won that contract, and they're a pretty good suppressor. Now, how well does it work? Well, we're going to see how this works. I don't know how well the camera will pick up unsuppressed versus suppressed fire, but I'm going to shoot a few rounds down range. I have a very small little range here. You see, I'm like in a little cornfield, and don't laugh at what I have for right now. Just have a mound of dirt down there. More dirt's coming, right? So there will be a bigger burn back there, and a little better setup coming later. But for right now, the mound of dirt works for these purposes. When I have to shoot long range, I go to a different range that you will see at some point. So anyway, let me get this stuff going. I'm going to put my ears on because I'll shoot the first 3 rounds will be unsuppressed, and the ammunition I'm going to shoot. So the ammunition that I'm shooting is 220 grain Spire Point bullets. They are Barry's bullets, and these are my hand loads. We're going to talk about loading at some point. I hand load my ammunition. I don't want to say it's my own process of doing it. I've tried a couple of different ways on some of this stuff, and I've done a lot of reading and watched a lot of different people and their opinions. So I've got some opinions on hand loading, and we'll talk about that. But what I won't do, because I'm not an expert, is I'm not going to give you my recipes, right? So I'm not going to tell you what I'll tell you what powders I'm using, but I'm not going to tell you how much powder I'm using and all this and that and the other, because I don't want anyone to take my load data and then something go wrong and then they want to blame it on me. I would only stress that if you hand load, that you always find load data and do it safe. But we'll talk about that another time. These are hand loads, 220 grain. I've got them running right about 1,050, 1,060 feet per second out of the muzzle, so that's just underneath supersonic territory there. Perfect. So you've got just about all the reach that you can get out of the ammunition, and it's being a heavy bullet like it is, it's going to work really well inside the suppressor. All right. I guess real quick before we do this, and you can see there is no magazine in the gun. Perfectly safe. Absolutely empty. I could talk about this just a second. Okay, so what I'm going to shoot today, this is my Aero Precision 300 Blackout. I am an Aero Precision dealer, so I do like their stuff. I don't sell anything that I wouldn't recommend. Aero Precision is a quality company for an affordable firearm. I built this myself out of a stripped lower, put the parts in it myself, and put all of this together. So running the Aero lower, Aero upper, 300 Blackout, 10.5-inch barrel. I've got the Holosun 510C red dot on here, or reflex sight, which I really do like. Again, I do sell these, and I do like Holosun. People might say, well, that's a cheap optic. Well, it's kind of mid-range when it comes to optics, right? So it's not a Trigicon, it's not an aim point or something like that, but it works really well. It's not an EOTech. EOTech is not a holograph. This is a reflex red dot, so there is a difference there. It may look the same when you look through here. The reticle that you get looks like an EOTech, but it is not the same. This is not holographic, but because it's not holographic, you get a lot more battery life. So 50,000 hours of battery life, plus it comes with, it's also solar powered. So if you shoot with it in the daytime, it charges itself up. It has shake awake functions. It's really, I think it's a wonderful optic. I have one on here, and I have one on my wife's 9mm as well. We'll look at that some other day. So a little SureFire white light on it, some Magpul pop-up backup sights. Don't ever use those. So anyway, this is what we're going to run. And let's see if I can get... Yeah, this will have, like, basically the camera is just off of my right shoulder, so I don't know how well the sound is going to be on this and how well this is going to come through there. We'll just see how it works. So I'll shoot 3 rounds. The first 3 here will be unsuppressed, and then I'll put the suppressor on and we'll see what the difference is. Here we go. Okay, that was unsuppressed. That's why you wear ears for that. But now I don't need these, because, and yes, for all of those who wondered, safety is on. So now we will put the suppressor on. And the SureFire 2 comes with a, it's kind of like a ratchet system. That's really easy to get on. Just that fast. Now the gun is suppressed. Okay, so that was 3 rounds unsuppressed. Now we'll go 3 rounds suppressed and see if we can tell the difference here. So there you go. 3 rounds unsuppressed, 3 rounds suppressed. Again, those 3 were without the ears on, and that's there was absolutely no problem whatsoever. I know the first 3, if I didn't have ears on, I would have been in big trouble. It would have been really loud. So, having a suppressor is it's good for your ears. It's good for your health, and things that are good for your health, right, are they're good for you. So I recommend suppressors. And if your state doesn't allow you to have a suppressor, move. Honestly, don't live there. The crazy thing about suppressors is most countries outside the United States, they make it easier for their citizens who have firearms to be able to get suppressors because of the health factor that's involved with it. So yeah, if you live in a state that doesn't allow you to have a suppressor, it'd be my advice to you to move. That's what I would do. Move to a state that is firearm friendly. Yeah, these are good things. So really, really good stuff. Now, what else could I talk about? As far as it comes to suppressors, again, we are back safe here. 100% safety. Magazine out of the firearm, nothing in the chamber. I guess I could talk about the ratchet system real quick because it's probably not, yeah. They get a little warm, but they get really hot if you shoot them a bunch. So 6 rounds with a little time in between, not too bad at all. So the way to get it off is just simply to depress the button here, spin that on around, and there you go. But the only way to accomplish that, now I'll give you another cost inside of this. You got to think ahead when you're doing a suppressor, because it's usually not just the suppressor. You're going to need a muzzle device that will, if you're going to have a quick detach system, even the ones that you build, you can put quick detach systems on. You'll have to have a muzzle device in order to fit there. So what do you want? I just go with a standard 3-prong flash hider for my 300 blackout here. But for my 6.5 PRC, the rifle that I shoot long range, I did go with a muzzle brake that goes under the suppressor, and that's because I wanted to take a little recoil out. But on a 5.56, 300 blackout, probably a flash hider is all you need. Maybe on a 308, you might want to go with a brake under there too, maybe to try to bring some of that recoil down. Recoil, and a lot of people get on that. No, well, I'm not worried about recoil. I'm a man. Let it recoil. Well, I mean, recoil is fine, but usually recoil, it brings it with it muzzle rise, and it doesn't help you to be able to stay on target if your muzzle keeps flying up. So usually if you can suppress the recoil of the rifle, you can also help with the muzzle rise. And I know there are devices that do muzzle rise, specifically the way that they direct the gases that come out of the barrel, and they try to help drive the barrel down. And I know we're getting a little off topic here, but I think one good thing that you can do to help with that, if you have a problem with staying on target, is that when you place your grip on the front of your, say, your AR system here, maybe you're not using your whatever foregrip you have, right? Whether you have an angled foregrip like this or like a broomstick or something, if you're not using that properly, it's not going to help you either with the recoil. So I like to use a C-clamp where I grip around the end where my hand clamps down. I even take my finger in front of my little angled grip there. But when you do that, you want to make sure that you're not holding the firearm out. You want to take your left hand or your opposite hand and then pull it back into your shoulder. So that's what that C-grip is for, to get a good grip on the front of the gun. Pull that grip back into your shoulder so that you can drive that recoil down as well. Drive that muzzle rise down. So instead of this coming up every time you shoot, you can effectively take that out by controlling the front of the gun. Just another little important tip there. Now, that's all I have for today about suppressors. If you have any questions about that, suppressors or anything else, put it in the comments below. If you have an idea, maybe you want a video you would like me to make about a certain topic, say something in the comments below, or either send me an email to harrisarms@yahoo.com, and I can try my best to do a video for you on that topic. And I hope you have found this informative and helpful. I appreciate you coming by, stopping by to give the video a look. And if you appreciated the content, if you like this type of stuff, if you're into firearms, by all means, subscribe to the channel. Click the little button down there, subscribe, hit the notifications, and give this video a thumbs up, right? Give it a like. Thank you all, and I'll see you later.